Okay, so today I'm going to do a presentation in which I do two things, or attempt to do two things. First thing is to connect, or to find this individual's probate record. I actually already do have a copy of it, but I'm going to show how I found it because it's not, the probate record for Samuel Webb is an index. This individual is an ancestor of mine. And then I'm going to present the evidence that allows me to know he's an ancestor of mine. And the way I'll do that is I'll connect him directly to an Alfred Foster who lived in Kenosha County, who was the father of Amanda Burgess, who married Benjamin Burgess, and they were parents to William Everington Burgess. I'm also going to go to another website that has some information about the family of Kenosha, and it even has a picture of my great-great-grandfather on there, surprisingly. And there were some notes for a family reunion that took place in the 1830s. I'll tell you what website to go to get those. They're scanned, they're in color. And so my interest here, it's pretty well, it's about as well documented as you can get for the Burgess family coming out of Kenosha County, at least how to connect them back to the Burgess family in Rhode Island, in Little Compton, Rhode Island. Got a lot of facts to remember today, but I'm just going off memory, so except for what I see in front of me, of course. Now, this Samuel Webb is my ninth great-grandfather, by the way. The next thing I'm going to do, so I'm going to present the evidence of, how do we know this Samuel Webb and the associated families? They're all, you can get a pretty comprehensive family tree going once you get to, once you're able to connect the Alfred Foster of Kenosha to the Alfred Foster that is the son of William Foster and Esther Dodge, and both their family trees are well researched, well documented, and there's evidence to support the assertions that, the parentage assertion for each line going back fairly early. So just one other people that were descendants of William Everington Burgess and Jane Leet and Alfred Foster and Amanda Foster to be able to go through this and be able to see how it is that we know that these are our ancestors, and we're not just guessing. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to search for Samuel Webb's vital record, and the first thing I'm going to show is that it's not probate record, and it's not going to show up when I narrow this down and go into the Connecticut probate records. Which are here. There's a lot of good probate records, but not everybody had a probate record. In my case, for my ancestor here, he actually had one. It's just not indexed in Ancestry. I could go through the exercise of looking through, Anyway, that's it. It's got a Mary Webb, Fairfield. It's got nothing probated out of Windham County coming here. So what can I do to deal with this if I think there might be a probate record? And what I'm going to mention is an absolute fact, not everybody that had a will is going to end up showing up in this probate index. You actually have to dig into the original, or the scans of the originals, and look at their indexes to find some of the probates. And that's just the way it is. So their indexing is not complete. There's some of it, but not all of them. I'm just going to pick a page because I'm going to actually want to browse through the Connecticut wills and probate records at this point. The first thing you have to know is when the person died and what probate district they would have been when they died. And sometimes that is half the battle. I happen to know that in my case, because I really fought hard for these vital records, I eventually found his death record in the Barber collection. He died in Windham County, which happens to be in the Windham probate district, in 1738/39. And of course, double dates in genealogy. In the old days, January through March, they would hold on to the last year and finally drop it sometime in March, but they'd slap on the new year in January. So this is 1738/39. We're talking during the months between January and March. All right, so let's go to the probate records. And there is some of these special probate records. I know there's some reference to him in there, but I'm going to stick with what I know to be true. Now, it gets confusing. Like, why is there a volume 1 in 1838? Does that mean there's no records here? Do I need to look at the special? Was there something special about those years? In this district, it just happens to mean that there was some notes scribbled in the margin in some other book about the probate proceedings during that time ranges when it happens to do a special. I'm looking for the regular stuff, and I'm looking for this volume here, because 1739 lands in that range. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm not going to mess around with nothing. I'm just going to go to the end. And even though I see it, you can try to look on these typewritten indexes. But when I go over here to W, there's no Webb. My Samuel Webb is not here. So do I give up? No, I don't. No reason why I'm saying that. I mean, I might, in normal circumstances, I might be inclined to give up, but no, don't give up. Let's go to page 680. See if there's some kind of yes, there is some kind of handwritten index, and then I'll just go down and go to the last page. Look around. Is it? Yes. Okay. And what a surprise! Here's a Webb, and that actually is a Samuel, but they scribbled SAML, to mean Samuel, because they were lazy. So I need to go to page 384, 385, and I just scroll down here. And I'm not going to be that lucky, but just work my way down to 384, 385. Eventually, I do hope to get there. And okay, so we got about 10 pages to go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 would be 10. There's 385. So 384 should be over here, right? No, that's true. We're going to do it again. So let's go and 384. Name God, amen. I Samuel Webb of Windham, and bonus son-in-law Amos Dodge. Okay, so that's going to get us down. And there's two other. Yeah, that's just about it to really notice with this. Yeah. All right, so we know there's a Samuel Webb. He's got a son-in-law named Amos Dodge. Now I've covered how to find probate records. Basically, you're looking for an index. You may want to look around the middle and see, if you got more than one book, there might be an index in the middle. You could look there. But don't give up, just because, as you can see here, down here at the bottom, yeah, Nathaniel Clark is indexed. And Timothy Diamaic is indexed, but not Samuel Webb. And so there ain't nothing I could do about that. I don't even see how. Is there some way I could? I'm not looking for help. I mean, maybe I could report a problem. No. Okay. We're not talking about spam here. Okay. Done. So I'm done with Samuel Webb. And I'm going to go back, and now I'm going to work through the evidence to find to now prove out, to get us back down to Alfred Foster of Kenosha County. Now, a couple things I'm going to go through. I'm going to primarily use these pages. And just because it has pretty pictures and arrows doesn't mean that I have any information to back this stuff up. What will mean that I have information to back this stuff up is not because I have something called a source down here, because I don't do it the way they do it, because it doesn't allow me to transcribe the evidence that is relevant to my... So I put it in the notes. Okay? Okay. So we're going to start out with, and I'll give a little background on Samuel Webb. Samuel Webb had a father named Christopher Webb and a grandfather named Christopher Webb. And I even think this branch doesn't really, I don't think it really legitimately claims anything to do with Mayflower, but this Humility Cooper is said to have come over on the Mayflower and then was sent back. She was age 99. Wow. That's all we really know about her. The rest is... Yeah, I don't think she really is the wife of Christopher Webb. And I don't even know where they got the idea that Humility Cooper, so I'm not sure whether... I probably should have this as Humility Unknown. Not a big deal. In fact, I'm not really trying to prove this stuff out. Basically, the only thing important to know about the Webb family is the oldest one... I thought they had a presence in really early Boston. He might have been one of the earliest residents of Boston. I'm not sure. I mean, really, really early. But I would have to look that up. The second one that died in Braintree was the clerk for the city of Braintree, and so there's a couple of vital records get recorded twice, and it's always the second time at Braintree. In later generations, the second recording is at Woodstock. The vital records of Woodstock were difficult to find at one point. You can find them at FamilySearch.org. If you look through their catalog, and there's a PDF copy of it. For a while, you could. And I bought this thing at one time. So I'll open this up to have it ready. All right. So, but I'm interested in Samuel Webb at this stage. Basically, getting earlier than Samuel Webb, the vital records at Braintree is the proof that you have. I don't think I found a will for Christopher Webb, but I haven't looked for it, actually. There may be one. Okay. Samuel Webb, son of Christopher Webb and Hannah Scott. Okay, so let's look at his... From the records of the town of Braintree, Samuel Webb married Mary Adams, and some background on this. Most genealogists agree that this Mary Adams in question, well, we know that she was the son of A. Samuel Adams, for sure, and we're pretty darn sure. In fact, I may even have actual proof that this Mary Adams was the son of was the daughter of Samuel Adams and Rebecca Graves, and not the famous Samuel Adams that was involved with more directly involved and more prominent in the United States Revolutionary War. The primary evidence for this is that Mary Adams' brother Thomas wrote his will before he went on the ship, and he was killed in Barbados, actually. And in that will, he names his sister Mary, but he also mentions his cousin Graves, and his will was probated in the same area, the Windham area, Connecticut. Okay. Now, this Adams family, yes, did have a connection to the Henry Adams that was the beer maker that came over from, and that lived, and the family lived in Braintree, and eventually, another more senior branch of the family, got involved in politics. Okay. So, but what I found is Samuel Webb's will and how it proves that he's got a daughter who married a Dodge. And I'm going to say that's actually Mary Webb. So we're going to look at her notes. And when I say the sources, the vital records of Dorchester, and it's available at this location, and there's a quote, that means I got it from that place, and I did it actually myself. So what this says is basically there's a Mary Webb that was the daughter of Samuel Webb and Mary, born in 1694. It also says that Mary Webb married Amos Dodge, and of course the contents of the will does reinforce. He names his son-in-law Amos Dodge, so this is the same Mary. And these two sources are proof, and this is just someone else presented their findings but didn't say where they got it from. It's the genealogy of the Dodge family. Okay. So there's Mary. So Mary Webb, who married Amos Dodge, had a son named John. And this is how it applies and is applicable to the Burgess family of Kenosha County, that one of the senior members was William Everington Burgess. There were other ones. There was an Alonzo Burgess, but that was... I'll get to that later. Okay. So there's another Burgess family that had no relation close to the William Everington Burgess family. Different family. They just got over from Britain. No relation. I don't have a will for Amos Dodge. I do have a will for John Dodge. So let's look at John Dodge's will, because we already looked at Samuel Webb's will. So John Dodge would be, of course, the grandson of Samuel Webb. Now, John Dodge's will happens to come up right away. So I go to the Massachusetts probate records. when you look at the actual original probate records. And there's 3 important things to note here. The most important one is to note that he gives his daughter Esther Foster $5. But that also, there is a Phineas Dodge. There's a brother Ozias. So you got a son Phineas, brother Ozias. Son Phineas, brother Ozias. Remember those names, Phineas and Ozias. Actually, Phineas is probably the most important one. Now, if we look at the vital records of Woodstock, page 98, because I just remember these things. That's just when my mind works. We're going to find an Easter Dodge here, born in 1751. Keep that date in mind. Phineas, where does he show up? Where does Phineas show up? Phineas. Phineas here. There's Phineas. Phineas. Look at his notes. What I transcribed here. Okay, first of all, he married an Esther Weber in Brimfield, number 1. And Phineas should appear on page 127. Phineas. There he is, and you can guess he's probably born sometime between 1760 and 60. I don't know why they don't have that there. So we'll just call it 7064 and we'll be happy. So, and then this Phineas did marry Esther Weber. I'm not going to go bother to look at it, but he did. Okay, if you don't believe me, it's too bad. All right. So, what does this all mean? I don't know. Too much detail. No, actually, if we go back, Dodge here, son of Amos. So, we had Samuel Webb says, I got a daughter married to a Dodge. We have birth, marriage, and death records to back all that stuff up. We have the marriage. Let's look at it again. Let's see. Amos married Webb, right? Dodge and Amos died. This 7065. Stuff like that. Okay. No, more directly. Okay. John Dodge. What we care about is Mary Webb. And Mary Webb married Amos Dodge. Because we have proof. We have proof of Mary Webb's parentage. At least her connection to Samuel Webb. And Mary Adams, by the way. Okay? And once again, son-in-law, Webb names his son Amos, son-in-law Amos Dodge, who actually outlived Mary Webb. And they went on to have a son named John Dodge. Let's see where the vital records prove this out. What proof do I have of this? It's in the vital records of Tyringham show him dying September 24th, 1797. We have his will. His will names his daughter Esther Foster. We have his birth record in Windham. And remember, Samuel Webb's will was probated in Windham County. And then some icing on the cake is that even though we know he died in Tyringham and not Irvingham, because this is actually a citation from a book. That's the page you'll find it on. This is at Google Books, Vital Records of Tyringham, Massachusetts, where it says exactly on page 95, Dodge John died, that date. It also says the record was also, his death was also recorded at Woodstock, Connecticut. Same date, September 24th, 1793. 7, sorry. September 24th, 1797, age 73 years, and let's do a little math. 97 minus 73 is 24. So, yeah. Got that part down packed. Okay, so we never talked about the same guy. Everything ties to everything. Now we're going to deal with Esther Dodge. Now, meanwhile, some background: the Morse family came out of Woodstock. That Sarah Morse is actually the great aunt of the Morse code person, which I don't remember his name. That's just the way it is. Not right now. I'm a little bit tired. This is going to get complicated. So Esther Dodge married William Foster, and how do we know that? And let's just make sure we got the vital record right, just to double check, So vital records of Woodstock are Esther Dodge, daughter John Dodge, and Sarah, his wife, which is on page 98, as I've already shown. Step right up, hands quicker than the eye. And we'll go down here to, there we go, Esther Dodge, Janet Breed the First, 1751. Wow. And that should say 1751/2. Maybe. Or it should be 7050-51. I think it's going to be 52. The math's going to show us that. Okay, then I do not have a marriage record between her and William Foster. I do have birth records for all their children that name the parents as Foster and Dodge. We also know from John Dodge's will that he's got his son-in-law. He's got a daughter. His daughter is Esther Foster. So, okay. So Alfred Foster is the person in question, and the issue is this the same Alfred Foster that died in Kenosha County? Once we've proven that, it's downhill from there. The problem is actually proving that. Now, what's unique about Esther Dodge and William Foster is they left Woodstock, and remember that Esther Dodge's father, in fact I might go back, John Dodge, his death record is recorded not only at Tyringham, but at Woodstock. The Morse family is all over Woodstock. Members of the Dodge family are all through Woodstock. And there is a Phineas Dodge going to look there to see if any of the Fosters died in that cemetery, but no. There is a Phineas Dodge that is buried at Batavia, at Burdaw's Corner in Batavia County, Genesee, Batavia County, New York, where they ended up. So they started out Woodstock. They went to Tyringham. They had all their kids, and all these children have birth records of Tyringham. I hate the way this shows, because this is supposed to match up this with this. This is the wife. That's the husband. So here's Alfred. South Brimfield. There's Leonard, born at South Brimfield. And they moved between 76 and 77. Had a daughter named Perla. Apparently she died. And then daughter Lydia. Son William. Dorcas died soon after she was born. Esther, Elizabeth, Joseph. Okay. These are all backed up by the vital records of Tyringham, Massachusetts. Even the South Brimfield vital records. So click on Alfred Foster are recorded at Tyringham. So how are we going to connect this Alfred Foster to Kenosha? The first thing is, and then how do we connect them to Burdaugh's Corner from Woodstock? Because that is the problem. That's what we have to deal with. All right, so let's do this one step at a time. How do we connect Woodstock, Connecticut to Burdaugh Corner, Batavia County, New York? All right. So we're going to look for Dodge, first of all. Now, this Ruth was married to Phineas. Phineas, it's saying that was 1764. Is it 127? Yeah. So the Phineas that was born in Woodstock is also buried at Burgess Corner. We're also going to note, page 98, Easter born in 1751, or Esther. It's going to have her age actually on the gravestone. Age 78 years. 1829 minus 78 is 1751. Okay. Looks like the same person, right? And just so we test, the same. This is the same William, because we know by her father John's will it was Esther Foster, but how do we know it's this Foster? Born in 1750, Isaac and Abigail Foster. Don't have a marriage date. Second wife of Phineas. Let's look at Phineas for a second. Just one more thing to check on Phineas. Don't do that to me. Yeah, I don't have proof for that. But it does say she's second wife. Oh, it just says wife? Doesn't say second? Great. Alright. Well, they mistranscribed that. But, do have for Phineas is the same birth date. We already matched that up. It was 80. I can't even read it. Something years and 5 months. Whoever transcribed this, I got it before. 89 years, 5 months. Birthday 1765. It's within a year. Alright, so we move from Woodstock up to Birdod's Corner. We've got 2 relatives there. I know there were other Morse relatives there. I'm not going to get into it. Let's go back to Esther Dodge, for Christ's sake. Alright. And actually, William Foster. So there's Alfred. Now we got to somehow connect Alfred, he's the son of William Foster, to the Alfred that's in Kenosha. Number one, he was born 1774 by the vital records in Tyringham, listing him as being born at South Brimfield, actually. And we know that he ended up going up into New York because, or he'd have a reason to be up there because his sister was there and his uncle was up there. Now, New York's a big place, but so we need a little bit of history, some context. I should go back. So they did some research at the State Historical Society of Wisconsin, and they talked about how and why Kenosha County was inhabited, or how it was settled. And there's basically a group of people that came from Hannibal, Oswego County, New York, and they went to they decided to migrate to Kenosha County. There's no grave marker for Alfred Foster, but there was a newspaper notice when Alfred Foster died in 1849. That I'll get. And there's Alfred Foster. This is from 10,000 Vital Records of Eastern New York. Foster Alfred, age 74. Let's do some math. Let's try it again. This says he's born 1775. Died at the home of his daughter, Miss Burgess, in Southport, Wisconsin. It says he was born in New York State, but no, he was not. He did live many years in Hannibal, Oswego, which is the tie-in with the... Okay, so how do we get her back to Tyringham? Well, it's the birth date. There are no other Alfred Fosters. They're of the right age, and I'll go through that in the Alfred Foster folder that I have that I've scanned. But also, if we look at what it says in the Vital Records of Tyringham, it says he was born at South Brimfield, 1774. In fact, that's July 5th. Wasn't July yet, so he would not yet be it does equate to 1774. And at the home of his daughter, Miss Burgess, which is Amanda Burgess, who married William Everington Burgess. And this goes right in line with, this is the same Alfred Foster. Not only for the Burgess, but because of the history of, it's recorded for Kenosha County. But I also went through this exercise to look for all the Alfred Fosters, you know. Because he died before 1850, so he's not... So this is the history of the Western Immigration Company. This is the local biography of William E. Burgess. It basically says that Mr. Burgess, which is him, had a mother. It was Amanda, formerly Miss Foster, Amanda Foster, daughter of Alfred Foster. This is actually the whole outline of the Western Immigration Company. He's in there 4 times over. These are his early land grants. Remember, he was born in 1775. By 1830, he would have been 74, actually. So he would have been 56. So he probably would be the head of a household. And hey, there's one in Hannibal, Oswego in 1830. And that would be my Alfred Foster, working back from Kenosha. Can't really read this, but I think this is older. the other Alfred Fosters that were in this list here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, mine, 2, 3, 4, 5. None of them were even close to the age range of my Alfred Foster that I'm concerned about. Same thing, 1820. This third one's got to be mine, Hannibal Oswego. That Helen Gale is incorrect. This is Alfred Foster Jr.'s. Alfred Foster had another son named Alfred Foster. Here's the Tyringham. There's his birth record, Alfred and Esther. Just in case I thought I was fibbing my transcriptions, which I wouldn't do. So, we got some pretty good evidence. Well, how do we get from Tyringham to Hannibal Oswego, and how far is that from Birdaw's Corner? Of course, if I'm driving to the same place, that's kind of dumb. So we'll do that one first. I'll go to Genesee. Batavia. Where is it? Batavia, Genesee. That's 100 miles. It is along the canal. But the key to this whole thing is that of all the Alfred Fosters, these dates match. Last icing on the cake is when I don't see it on the pictures that I look at Find a Grave because they're not good enough. Someone took the time to go and transcribe the gravestones there, and there's members of the Dodge family, there's members of the Foster family buried there. Remember the Morse family made an inscription for Lemuel Foster, and it says, where I got this, it was at Roots Webb, I believe. Someone had actually taken the time to transcribe this stuff. What the hell happened to Roots Webb? Top corner. Some of these are absolutely useless. we go. AF on the stone. Which, I mean, it would actually have to be Alfred Foster Jr. because Alfred Foster didn't live till 1866. That makes sense to me. So we have only one Alfred Foster had the same ages, but we also have evidence of the family moving, or parts of the family moving from Woodstock up to Burdaugh's Corner. We have him reasonably hanging out in a reasonably close place to Hannibal Oswego. The history of Kenosha County doesn't necessarily state that everybody was from Hannibal. They got people from various areas to join this Western immigration company that went out and settled Kenosha County. And they actually didn't settle, they didn't have title to those pieces of land that they thought they bought from the Western immigration company until 20 years after they arrived. Which I'll show here. There's a couple, I think I buzzed by. Here it is. Here's, go back. So this is Alfred Foster buying a piece of land that he's sharing with Alfred Hale. This is in 1840, just before he died. And President Martin Van Buren was president. His son also has a plat, and then his this should be under Amanda Burgess, like Amanda Foster. No, it is Foster, actually. She has some plots of land. Her husband died awfully early. So her husband Benjamin Burgess arrived in Kenosha County and died before 1850. He probably died around 1820, and it was until 1843 that she got actual title. That's as good as it gets, but it's pretty good. Especially with the newspaper advertisement in New York. Especially with the initials down there. Photo records of Tyringham, everything goes together. I am absolutely comfortable that this Alfred Foster is the same Alfred Foster that was born in Massachusetts. Now, a little more information. I've already shown the biological sketch of William Everton Burgess. Again, he was the son of Amanda Foster and Benjamin Burgess. Benjamin Burgess died in the Pike River. Again, the newspaper notice for Alfred Foster said he died in the household of Amanda Foster, who lived with William Everington Burgess, her son. No, she didn't live with her son. She was Amanda Burgess at the time because she was married to him. He was living with her. Alfred Foster was living with her when he died. We haven't really found a gravestone for him either. It was too early. But we know she was married to Benjamin Burgess at the time. Now I'm going to go over and something that's been preserved by members of the family. These are notes, and it's also going to have a picture of my great-grandfather. So this is Burgess reunion notes. It's going to come here. And why did you do that? I'm not sure who. Okay, this guy here, Burdett, is the guy that took the notes that are below. This is my great-great-grandfather. And these are the notes Burdett took. And what this is William Everington Burgess's son. His name was also William Everington Burgess. And there was a family reunion that took place in 1930. And a lot of family members went back up to Kenosha County, summers. And Burdett took these notes as William Everington Burgess was talking. And couple interesting snippets, like they arrived really early. They arrived in covered wagons, and basically they said Chicago was just mostly a swamp with a few little shacks, so they kept moving on and went north and west of the Great Lake and settled near the Great Lake at Summers. At some point in this whole thing, they took a roll call. This EDD is my great great grandfather. These are his children. Alfield is my great grandmother, and that was his brother Harold. The main evidence for let's go back here to Foster's file, because he's got William Burgess' stuff in there too. In as much that it's too late for some of these people that were involved, like Alfred Foster was never caught in the 1850 census. Benjamin Burgess was never caught in the 1850 census. We know of their existence because the people that were living talked about them. So this is his son, and he talks about his father. I think it should have been Benjamin, though, but he might have gone by Benijah for short. His grandfather's name was Benijah, and I have proof of that. Basically died in 1838. I was a little early on when he died. And then he had a son named William Burgess. Benjamin Burgess, is here. Mr. Burgess' mother, Amanda Burgess. I've already gone over this. Amanda Foster. He married Amanda Foster, and there was Alfred Foster. First settler came in 1835, right along with the history of Kenosha County. In here, just there's Cyrus. It also goes over all that stuff, and on this, where they have the roll call, they only have the birth dates, but they do say who people are. Every person listed there is related, and there's vital records. The Wisconsin Historical Society has. Some are indexed better than others, but we have a pretty good collection of all of them. And here's, again, my great-great-grandfather. And someone transcribed it. That's good. And Bob Heck has been a giant of Burgess family genealogy, and especially for that branch. And he's pretty much done a very good job to connect the family all the way back to Little Compton, Rhode Island. Of course, that's been pretty well documented, so I wanted to do this part. Oh, I did at least a decent job. Basically, if you trace your family back to William Everett Burgess or Benjamin Burgess up in Kenosha County, guy that died in the Pike River, there are very good resources in the local biographies that exist there. And the main connection between the Burgesses when they were in New York, and they moved from New York, from Hoosick, Rensselaer County to Summers, Kenosha, the same way Alfred Foster did, what proves that documentation-wise is that there was a John Burgess that lived in Hoosick, Rensselaer County. It was the brother of Benijah Burgess, who named all of the children in Wisconsin. There was a newspaper publication that named Benjamin Burgess and Family of Wisconsin. You're here on notice to come and you have a portion of an estate to take. And also his own father left a will and named his son Benjamin, though he had not yet migrated to Wisconsin. After his dad died, he migrated to Wisconsin on the covered wagons, probably with this group that had collected funds. And then on his way, Benjamin Burgess met Amanda Foster, was Alfred Foster's daughter, and then he died young, and Amanda Foster Burgess was living for quite a while. Of course, the parents of William Everton Burgess, and if you find that, I'll go back to again, this local, from the history of racing in Kenosha counties, which is available on Google Books, and a much better copy than this, page 710, you'll be able to get to this portion. If you could trace your ancestry back to this portion, which you should be able to with census records to the 1850s, you'll be well on your way to at least going down so I connected you all the way back, basically to Samuel Webb, and I hope that was helpful.